Captain stood in the docking bay and looked at his new ship. The vessel was old, very old. Rust covered parts of the hull and the paint was fading. The name on the side read Defiant, but someone had scratched out half the letters. This was not the kind of ship a captain dreamed about commanding. Touched the scar on his left cheek. He got it 6 months ago when he disobeyed direct orders. His superior told him to leave a colony station to die. The station had 300 civilians, including children. Took his ship and saved them instead. Command called it desertion. They stripped him of his rank, then gave it back just to send him on this mission. A mission nobody expected him to survive. "Looks like garbage, doesn't it?" a woman's voice said behind him. Turned and saw a young woman with short black hair. She wore a navigator's uniform, but the insignia was faded. She carried a single bag over her shoulder. "Lieutenant reporting for duty," she said. She did not salute. "I'm your navigator, or I was a navigator before they caught me." "Caught you doing what?" asked. "Hacking into military databases. I found evidence that Admiral was stealing supplies meant for outer colonies. Turns out they don't like it when you expose their corruption." Looked at the ship and laughed without humor. "So they sent me here, on this beautiful vessel that looks like it should be scrap metal." 2 more people walked into the docking bay. One was a thin man in an engineer's uniform. He had oil stains on his hands and looked tired. The other was a woman in a medical officer's white coat. She had kind eyes but walked like someone carrying a heavy weight. "Engineer Sung," the man said. He pointed at himself. "I blew up a laboratory trying to create a new fuel source. It would have worked too, but I didn't follow safety protocols. Cost the military 15 million credits in equipment." The woman in the white coat nodded to everyone. "Doctor, I treated wounded soldiers from both sides during the colony wars. Command said I was a traitor for helping the enemy. I said they were human beings who needed medical care. We disagreed." She smiled sadly. "So here I am." Finally, a young man in marine armor walked up. He looked barely 20 years old. His face was bruised, and he walked with a slight limp. "Private," he said quietly, "I got caught smuggling food to refugee camps. The camps were starving and the military had warehouses full of supplies just sitting there. I took what I could carry." He looked down. "They beat me pretty good when they caught me." Looked at his crew. 5 people, all criminals in the eyes of command, all punished for doing what they thought was right. "Do you know what our mission is?" asked them. "Explore the dead zone," said. "The area of space where 12 probes disappeared. No signals, no data, nothing, just gone." "They're sending us to die," Sung added. He did not sound angry, just tired. "This ship is falling apart. We have minimal supplies, old weapons, and outdated equipment. It's a suicide mission dressed up as exploration." Walked closer to his crew. He looked each of them in the eyes. "You're right," he said. "Command expects us to fail. They expect us to disappear just like those probes. We're an embarrassment to them, criminals who don't follow orders. They want us gone." "So what do we do?" asked. "We survive," said. "We go into that dead zone, we find out what happened to those probes, and we come back. We come back and we shove our success in their faces. They sent us here to disappear, but we're going to make sure we're worth remembering." Smiled. It was the first real smile had seen since arriving. "I like that plan." "The ship is terrible," Sung said. "But I can work with terrible. I've fixed worse." Nodded. "I'll keep everyone alive. That's my job." Stood despite his limp. "I'm ready, sir." Felt something he had not felt in months. Hope. Maybe these people were criminals. Maybe they were outcasts, but they were his crew now. "Let's get aboard," said. "We launch in 3 hours." The inside of the Defiant was just as bad as the outside. The corridors were narrow and dark. Half the lights did not work. The air smelled like oil and old metal. Sung immediately went to the engine room, muttering about all the repairs he needed to make. Took the navigator's station on the bridge. She touched the controls and made a disgusted sound. These systems are 20 years old. No, 30 years old. I've seen museum pieces newer than this. Can you work with it? Asked. I can work with anything, said, but I'm not promising it will be pretty. Set up the medical bay. It was small with only 2 beds and basic equipment. Helped her organize the supplies. There were not many. Enough to treat minor injuries but nothing serious. Sat in the captain's chair. It was worn and uncomfortable. The main screen flickered, but it was his chair, his ship, his crew. Captain said, I'm receiving our final mission orders. Put them on screen, said. The orders appeared. They were simple and cold. Proceed to coordinates in the dead zone. Investigate probe disappearances. Report findings. Maintain radio silence unless emergency. Expected mission duration, indefinite. Indefinite, Sung said over the intercom. That's military speak for never coming back. Then we'll have to prove them wrong, said. He pressed the ship-wide communication button. All crew, this is the captain. We launch in 2 hours. Get some rest. Eat something. Make peace with whatever you need to make peace with. When we enter that dead zone, we only have each other. The crew worked quietly for the next 2 hours. Sung fixed what he could. Programmed their course. Prepared medical supplies. Checked their weapons. Reviewed every system, every report, every piece of data about the dead zone. There was not much data. The dead zone was an area of space roughly 10 light-years across. No stars, no planets, just empty darkness. 12 probes had entered over the past 5 years. None ever sent back data. None ever returned. Captain called out, "We're ready to launch." Took a deep breath, "Take us out." The Defiant shuddered as it left the docking bay. The engines coughed and rattled, but they worked. The ship moved forward away from the station, away from Earth, away from everything familiar. Setting course for the dead zone, said. Travel time 6 days. 6 days to prepare. 6 days before they entered a place where everything disappeared. 6 days before they found out if they would live or die. Looked at his crew. They were ready, scared but ready. Let's go find out what's waiting for us, said. The Defiant jumped to faster-than-light speed. The stars stretched into lines of light. Behind them, Earth grew smaller and smaller until it vanished completely. They were alone now, 5 outcasts on a dying ship heading into the unknown. But they were together. And sometimes that was enough. 6 days passed quickly aboard the Defiant. The crew fell into a routine. Sung spent most of his time in the engine room, keeping the old systems running, stayed on the bridge, watching their course, ran medical checks on everyone, practiced combat drills in the cargo bay, studied everything he could find about the dead zone, which was almost nothing. On the 6th day, called everyone to the bridge. We're approaching the boundary, she said. Her fingers moved across the navigation controls. We'll enter the dead zone in 10 minutes. Sat in his captain's chair. The crew gathered around him. Through the front window, space looked normal. Stars shined in the distance. Everything seemed peaceful. What should we expect? Asked nervously. Unknown, said. The probe stopped transmitting the moment they crossed the boundary. We don't know why. Maybe something destroyed them, said. Or maybe something jammed their signals, Sung added. 5 minutes, announced. The crew waited. Nobody spoke. The only sound was the hum of the ship's engines and the beep of instruments. 1 minute, said. Gripped the arms of his chair. All hands prepare for anything. 30 seconds. Checked his rifle. Opened her medical kit. Sung pulled up the engine diagnostics on his screen. 10 seconds, 9, 8. The stars ahead seemed to shimmer. 3, 2, 1, crossing now. The Defiant entered the dead zone. For a moment, nothing happened. Then every screen on the bridge went black. The lights flickered and died. Emergency red lights came on, casting everything in a bloody glow. What's happening? Demanded. All systems failing, shouted. She hit her controls, but nothing responded. Navigation is down. Communication is down. I can't see anything. Engines are still running, Sung said over the emergency intercom. But I'm getting strange readings. Something is pulling us. Pulling us where? Asked. I don't know. The instruments are going crazy. Gravity is wrong here. It's like space itself is bent. Stood up, everyone stay calm. Sung, keep the engines stable. Try to restore navigation. Check the ship for damage. The crew worked frantically. Minutes passed. Slowly, some systems came back online. The main screen flickered to life, showing static and distorted images. I've got partial navigation, said, but something is jamming us. Not natural interference. This is deliberate. Something is blocking our signals. Can you tell where we are? Asked. Studied her screens. Her face went pale. Captain, we've moved. We entered the dead zone at the boundary, but now we're 50,000 kilometers deeper inside. We didn't fly here. Something pulled us. That's impossible, Sung said. Check your readings, replied. We were pulled by some kind of gravitational field, but it's not from any star or planet. It's artificial. Felt cold? Show me. Put an image on the main screen. It was blurry and filled with static, but they could see it. Ahead of them, floating in the darkness, was a perfect sphere. It was massive, easily 40 kilometers across. The surface was dark, almost black, and completely smooth. What is that? Whispered. I don't know, said, but that's what pulled us here. Leaned closer to the screen. Look at the material. I've never seen anything like it. The sensors can't identify what it's made of. Sung pulled up more data. The structure is giving off a faint energy signature, very faint, like it's dormant but not completely dead. Captain, whatever built that thing, it wasn't human. The words hung in the air. For 300 years, humanity had searched for alien life. They had found nothing. No signals, no ruins, no evidence that intelligent life existed anywhere but Earth. Until now. We need to investigate, said. Are you crazy? Asked. That thing could be dangerous. We came here to find out what happened to the probes, said. This is our answer. Something pulled them in just like it pulled us. We need to know what it is. And if it kills us? Sung asked. Smiled grimly. Then we die finding something incredible, better than disappearing without knowing why. Sighed. You're absolutely insane, Captain. But I'm already a criminal, so what's a little more rule-breaking? I'll take us closer. The Defiant moved slowly toward the sphere. As they got nearer, they could see more details. The surface had patterns, geometric designs that looked purposeful, not random, designed. I'm picking up an opening, said. On the lower hemisphere, it looks like a docking port. Big enough for us? Asked. Barely. This ship is small, but that port wasn't made for human vessels. We'll have to be careful. Take us in, ordered. Guided the ship toward the opening. It was a tense few minutes. The Defiant scraped against the sides, metal screeching against the unknown material, but they made it through. Inside was a massive chamber. The walls glowed with a faint blue light. The space was big enough to hold a dozen ships their size. I'm detecting atmosphere, said, checking her instruments. Oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide. It's breathable, but the chemical mixture is slightly different from Earth. We can breathe it, but it might taste strange. Gravity is present too, Sung added. About 80% of Earth normal. Someone designed this place for living things. Stood up, suit up, we're going outside. The crew put on their environment suits and grabbed their equipment, carried his rifle, took her medical scanner. Sung brought tools, had a portable navigation device, carried a camera to record everything. They opened the airlock and stepped out onto the sphere's interior surface. The air smelled metallic and old. Their boots echoed on the smooth floor. The walls curved up and around them, covered in strange symbols and patterns. It's like we're inside a giant ball, said, his voice muffled by his helmet. Look at these markings, said. She ran her gloved hand over the symbols. They're carved into the surface. This is writing, alien writing. Sung knelt down and examined the floor. This material is incredible. It's stronger than any metal we have. And old, very old. I'd guess thousands of years, maybe more. They walked deeper into the structure. Corridors branched off in multiple directions. Some were sealed. Others were open, leading to vast empty chambers. Everything was silent and dark except for the faint blue glow. This place feels abandoned, said, like everyone just left. Or died, added quietly. They found a large circular room. In the center was a platform with what looked like a control panel. The symbols on it glowed softly. Don't touch anything, warned. But Sung was already examining the panel. Captain, I think this is some kind of computer, or their equivalent. If I can activate it, we might learn something. Can you do it safely? Asked. Probably not, Sung admitted, but when has that stopped me? He touched the panel carefully. Nothing happened. He tried a different symbol, still nothing. On his third try, the entire room came to life. Lights blazed everywhere. The walls lit up with images. A loud humming sound filled the air. The crew jumped back, weapons ready. Then a hologram appeared above the platform. It showed a creature, tall, thin, with 4 arms and an elongated head. Its skin looked like scales. Its eyes were large and dark. It wore some kind of uniform or armor. The hologram began to move. It spoke in a language none of them understood, but as it spoke, other images appeared on the walls. Images of cities, ships, a civilization. It's a recording, breathed. An archive, they left their history here. The images changed. They showed the aliens fleeing, their cities burning, ships destroyed, and then they saw what was chasing them. Creatures made of shadow and metal, thousands of them, millions. They consumed everything in their path. Planets, ships, entire star systems disappeared into the swarm of monsters. They were running from something, said. This sphere was an escape vessel. The hologram showed the aliens' last message. Even without understanding the words, the meaning was clear. It was a warning. The recording ended, the lights dimmed, the room fell quiet again. We need to get this data, said. All of it. Sung, can you download the archives? I can try, Sung said, but it will take time, hours, maybe days. Then we start now, ordered. This is bigger than our mission, bigger than our punishment. This is proof that we're not alone in the universe. And proof that something terrible is out there, added. Was staring at the walls where the images had been. Captain, those creatures in the recording, they destroyed an entire alien civilization. What if they're still out there? What if they're coming toward us? Looked at his crew, they were scared. He was scared too. Then humanity needs to know, he said. We need to warn them. That's why we have to survive this. We have to get home. The crew got to work. They had found something incredible and terrifying. First contact with aliens. But the aliens were dead and their killers might still be hunting. The defiant crew had entered the dead zone looking for answers. They found them and wished they hadn't. Sung worked for 3 days straight, barely sleeping. The alien computer system was unlike anything human technology had created. But slowly, piece by piece, he learned how it worked, helped him, using her hacking skills to break through security protocols that were thousands of years old. On the 3rd day, they finally accessed the main archives. The crew gathered in the circular room as the holographic displays came to life. This time, they saw more than just warnings. They saw the story of an entire civilization. I've got translation working, Sung said tiredly. He looked exhausted but excited. The computer is teaching me their language. It's slow, but I can understand some of it now. The holograms showed the aliens in their prime. They called themselves Their civilization had spanned hundreds of star systems. They had technology that made human science look primitive. They had lived in peace for thousands of years. They were explorers, said, watching the images. Scientists, artists, look at their cities, they were beautiful. But the images changed. They showed the encountering something new. Ships appeared at the edge of their space. Strange ships that did not respond to communication. Ships that attacked without warning. The swarm said quietly. The holograms showed the war. It was not really a war. It was an extermination. The swarm moved from system to system, consuming everything. They tried to fight. They had powerful weapons and strong ships, but the swarm was endless. For every swarm ship destroyed, 10 more appeared. They're like insects, said. They just keep coming and coming. They fled, they took what they could and ran. They built spheres like this one, lifeboats to carry survivors, but the swarm followed. One by one, the refuges fell silent. This sphere is the last one, said softly, the last record of their entire species. The hologram showed one final message. A scientist appeared. She spoke directly to the camera, knowing no one of her kind would ever hear her words. They left this as a warning, Sung translated. For whoever finds it, they want us to know what's coming. Coming where? Asked. Sung pulled up a star map. It showed the space in green. The swarm's path was marked in red. The red line moved through the galaxy like a disease, consuming everything. And at the edge of the map, marked in blue, was human space. The swarm is moving in our direction, Sung said. According to calculations, they will reach the first human colonies in 3 to 7 years. Nobody spoke. The weight of those words pressed down on them like a physical force. 7 years, finally said. That's not much time. Earth needs to prepare. We need weapons, defenses, ships. They had all of that, said bitterly. It didn't help them. Studied the star map. What else does the archive say? They were smart. They must have found something, some weakness, some way to fight back. Sung searched through the data. There are references to weapons research, biological weapons. They tried to create something that could kill the swarm creatures. He paused. But they failed. The swarm's biology is too different. Nothing they made worked. Show me the research, said. All of it. For hours, the doctor studied the biological data. Her face grew more troubled with each passing minute. There were clones, she said finally. Not natural clones, but close. Their entire species had very similar genetics. When they tried to create a bioweapon, they tested it on themselves because they didn't have genetic diversity to work with. And humans do, said, understanding. Exactly. Humans are incredibly diverse genetically, more diverse than they ever were. If we could adapt their research, use our own biology as a template, we might be able to create something that works. It's a chance, Sung said. A small chance, but better than nothing. Was examining other data. There's more here. They had defensive installations, weapon platforms, hidden bases. Some of them might still be operational. She pulled up coordinates. Look at this. There are 3 military stations within human reach. If we could get to them, we might be able to salvage technology, weapons, anything useful. We need to get this information to Earth, said. All of it. The warning, the research, the coordinates, everything. There's a problem, said. She pointed at her navigation screen. We're still being jammed. The same energy that pulled us here is preventing us from sending signals out. We can't call for help. We can't warn anyone. Can we break through the jamming? Asked. Not from here, Sung said. We'd need to get outside the dead zone, back across the boundary. Then we leave, decided. We take everything we can carry and go. Sung, download all the archive data, plot us a course back to human space. Pack up any biological samples. We leave in 6 hours. The crew rushed to prepare. They terabytes of data from the computers, carefully collected samples of organic material for study, helped load everything onto the Defiant. They were almost ready when his voice came over the intercom, sharp with fear. Captain, get to the bridge, now. ran to the bridge, was staring at her screens, her face pale. "What is it?" asked. "Ships," said. "3 of them. They just appeared at the edge of my sensors. They're fast, really fast." "Ships?" asked hopefully. "No," enhanced the image. The ships were dark and angular, nothing like the smooth designs. They looked organic, like they had been grown instead of built. "I think these are the swarm." Blood ran cold. "How far away?" 20,000 kilometers and closing. They'll be here in 15 minutes. Hit the shipwide intercom. "All crew return to the Defiant immediately. We're leaving now." Sung's voice came back. "Captain, I need more time to finish the download." "You have 10 minutes. After that, we're gone with or without the data." The crew scrambled. Sung worked frantically at the computer. His fingers flew across the alien controls, copying as much as he could, and loaded the last of the samples, started the Defiant's engines. 8 minutes, announced. "The enemy ships are adjusting course. They know we're here." "Keep working," ordered. 5 minutes. "They're launching smaller craft, fighters or drones, I can't tell which." Sung, "Time's up," shouted. "Almost done, just a few more seconds." 3 minutes. "Captain, we need to go now." Sung, "Got it." Sung disconnected from the computer and ran for the ship. The crew piled into the Defiant. The airlock sealed, fired the engines. 2 minutes. "The small craft are entering the sphere." "Get us out of here," ordered. The Defiant lurched forward, heading for the exit. Behind them, explosions lit up the sphere's interior. The swarm craft were firing, cutting through the ancient walls. "They're not trying to talk," said. "They're just destroying everything." "Like they did to the," said. The Defiant scraped through the exit port. Space opened up ahead of them. But the 3 large swarm ships were there, waiting. They were enormous, each one 5 times the size of the Defiant. "Evasive maneuvers," commanded. Threw the ship sideways as energy weapons lit up space where they had been. The Defiant shook violently. "They're fast," said through gritted teeth. "Faster than us. I can't outrun them." "The sphere," Sung said suddenly. "Captain, the defensive systems. I activated some of them when I was downloading. They might still be working." As if responding to his words, the massive sphere began to glow. Ancient weapons powered up, systems that had been dormant for. Energy beams lanced out from the sphere, striking one of the swarm ships. The enemy vessel's shields flared and failed. The ship broke apart, pieces spinning into the darkness. "It worked," shouted. But the other 2 swarm ships were already moving. They fired on the sphere, ignoring the Defiant. Massive explosions tore into the ancient structure. The sphere, the last remnant of a dead civilization, began to break apart. "They're destroying it," said. "They're destroying the evidence." "And giving us time to run," said. "Maximum speed. Get us to the boundary." The Defiant accelerated. Behind them, the swarm ships continued their attack on the dying sphere. For a precious few minutes, the ancient weapons held them off. "We're approaching the boundary," said. 10 seconds. The ship crossed back into normal space. Immediately, the jamming stopped. Their communication systems came back online. "Send a message to Earth," ordered. "Emergency priority, tell them everything." "What if they don't believe us?" asked. "Then we show them the data," said. "We have proof now. The archives, the biological samples, video of the swarm ships." Captain said, "The swarm ships, they're not following us." Looked at the rear sensors. The 2 remaining swarm ships had stopped at the boundary of the dead zone. They were just sitting there, watching. "Why aren't they chasing us?" Sung asked. "I don't know," said. "Maybe they can't leave the dead zone, or maybe they don't think we're worth chasing." "Or maybe," said quietly, "they're letting us go, letting us warn humanity, because they're not afraid of us." That thought was more terrifying than being chased. The Defiant limped away from the dead zone. The crew was alive. They had the data. They had proof. but they also knew the terrible truth. Something was coming for humanity, and it had destroyed civilizations far more advanced than Earth. The question was, would anyone believe them in time? The Defiant traveled for 2 days before the enemy found them again. "Captain, we have a problem," said. Her voice was tight with stress. "3 ships just appeared on sensors. They're the same type we saw before, swarm vessels." "Rush to the bridge. How did they find us?" "I don't know," said. "We're in empty space, nowhere near the dead zone, but they're here and they're coming fast." Sung ran diagnostics. "They must be tracking something. Maybe our engines leave a signature they can follow, or maybe they can sense the technology we took." "Can we outrun them?" asked. "Not for long," said. "Our ship is damaged and old, they're faster." "How long until they reach us?" 2 hours, maybe less." Thought quickly. They had data that could save humanity. They had proof of alien life. They could not let it be destroyed. "Options," he demanded. "We could hide," suggested. "Find an asteroid field or a gas cloud." "They'd find us," Sung said. "They tracked us through empty space. They'll track us anywhere." "We could split up," offered. "Put the data on an escape pod and send it in a different direction." "The pod is slower than the main ship," said. "They'd catch it easily." "Then we fight," said. Everyone looked at him. "Fight," Sung said. "Captain, we have one old military vessel with outdated weapons. They have 3 ships that destroyed an entire alien civilization." "I know the odds," said. "But we're not running. We're not hiding. If we're going to die, we die protecting this data. We die buying time for Earth." "Captain's right," said. He checked his rifle. "We're already criminals, might as well go out fighting." Nodded slowly. "I didn't become a doctor to watch people die without trying to help, even if those people are us." Smiled grimly. "I hacked military databases. Fighting alien ships doesn't seem much crazier." Sung sighed. "You're all insane, but I didn't blow up that laboratory by following safety rules. Let's do something stupid." "Good," said. "Now let's figure out how to kill something that killed the—" They gathered around the tactical display. The 3 swarm ships showed as red dots, growing closer. The Defiant was a single blue dot, alone in the darkness. "They had better weapons than us," Sung said. "And they lost. What do we have that they didn't?" "Desperation," said. "Stupidity," added. "Unpredictability," said. "The swarm fought for years. They learned tactics, but they've never fought humans before. They don't know what we'll do." "Because we don't know what we'll do," Sung muttered. Ignored him. "Sung, what weapons do we have?" "Standard missiles, rail guns, energy shields that barely work, nothing special." "What about the technology you downloaded? Anything useful?" Sung thought for a moment. "Maybe. There are weapon blueprints in the archives. I haven't had time to study them, but—" He pulled up files on the screen. "This looks like a gravitational weapon. It creates intense gravity fields that can crush ships." "Can we build it?" asked. "In 2 hours. No, in 2 weeks with a proper facility, maybe." "What else?" "There's something here about their power systems. The used 0-point energy, very efficient, but if you overload it—" Sung's eyes widened. "If you overload it, it creates a massive explosion, like a bomb." "How massive?" "Enough to destroy a city or a ship." Smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Can we overload our own power core?" "Probably, but we die in the explosion." "Not if we're not on the ship when it blows." Understanding dawned on his face. "You want to turn the Defiant into a bomb." "A trap," corrected. "We make them think we're dead in space. They come to investigate. We overload the reactor and escape in the shuttle when they get close." He made an explosive gesture. "That's insane," said. "The shuttle is tiny. It can barely hold 5 people, and we'll be sitting ducks after the explosion." "It's insane," agreed. "Which is why they won't expect it. They would never sacrifice their ships. They were too civilized, but we're desperate criminals on a suicide mission. We've got nothing to lose. Except our lives, Sung pointed out. We were supposed to lose those anyway, said. At least this way we take some of them with us. The crew looked at each other. Then one by one they nodded. I'll prep the reactor for overload, Sung said. Give me 40 minutes. I'll get the shuttle ready, said. I'll pack the essential data, said. We can't take everything, but I'll grab what matters most. I'll rig the ship with what explosives we have, said. Make sure nothing survives the blast. They worked quickly. Sung modified the power core, creating a cascade that would overload the reactor in exactly 12 minutes once triggered. Prepared the small shuttle, testing every system. The most important data onto portable drives. Placed charges throughout the ship. Swarm vessels entering weapons range in 10 minutes, the computer announced. Everyone to the shuttle, ordered. Sung set the timer for 8 minutes after they arrive. That should give them time to get close. The crew loaded into the tiny shuttle. It was cramped with 5 people and their equipment. Through the small window, they could see the Defiant floating ahead of them. Cutting main power now, Sung said. He pressed a button. The Defiant's lights went dark. On sensors, it would look dead. Shuttle is behind an asteroid, said. We're hidden. They shouldn't detect us. The swarm ships approached. They were cautious, moving slowly. They had weapons charged and shields up. They're not stupid, observed. They know it could be a trap. But they're curious, said. They want to know what killed us, and they want that data. 2 of the swarm ships hung back. The third moved forward, scanning the Defiant with green beams of light. Come on, Sung whispered. Get closer. The swarm ship moved nearer. It was now only a kilometer from the Defiant, close enough. Activating overload, Sung said. 8 minutes. They waited. Each second felt like an hour. The swarm ship began cutting into the Defiant's hull with precision lasers. 6 minutes, Sung said. They're boarding it, said. Good, more of them die that way. Small craft launched from the swarm ship. They entered the Defiant through the cuts in the hull. 4 minutes. The second swarm ship moved closer, joining the first. Both were now very close to the Defiant. 2 minutes. The third ship is staying back, said. Smart. 2 is better than none, said. 30 seconds. The swarm ships were pulling pieces off the Defiant, examining them. 10 seconds. 5. The Defiant's power core overloaded. The explosion was spectacular. A ball of white fire expanded outward, consuming the ship and both swarm vessels. The shockwave hit the shuttle, throwing it backward. Alarms screamed. The hull creaked. Damage report, shouted. Hull is holding, said. Barely, we're okay. Through the window they watched. The 2 swarm ships were breaking apart. Debris spun through space. Fires burned in the vacuum. We did it, said. We actually did it. But the third swarm ship was still there, and now it was angry. It's turning toward us, said. It knows where we are. Can we run? Asked. In this shuttle, no, we're too slow. Then we're dead, Sung said flatly. Refused to accept that. What weapons does the shuttle have? Emergency flares. 1 small laser cutter, that's it. Flares, said. How bright are they? Very bright. They're meant for signaling rescue ships. Launch all of them, right at the swarm ship. That won't hurt it, Sung said. No, but it might blind their sensors for a few seconds. The moment those flares go off, you fly us straight at them. Maximum speed. You want to ram them? Asked in disbelief. No, I want to fly past them, close as you can. Make them think we're attacking. And then we pray they're as stupid as we are. Launch the flares. Brilliant white light filled space. The swarm ship's sensors flickered and went dark for a moment. Now shouted. Gun the engines. The small shuttle accelerated straight at the massive swarm vessel. They flew so close that they could see the alien hull plating passing meters away. Then they were past, flying away into open space. The swarm ship turned to chase, but it was big and slow to turn. The shuttle was tiny and nimble. "It's chasing us," said. "Good," replied. They flew toward an asteroid field. The shuttle dove between the rocks. The swarm ship followed, but its size was a disadvantage here. It couldn't maneuver as quickly. "There," said, pointing. "That large asteroid, the one with the crater." "What about it?" asked. "Fly into the crater. Land on the far side where they can't see us." Did as ordered. The shuttle touched down on the asteroid's surface, hidden in the deep crater. They shut down all systems. Complete silence. The swarm ship passed overhead, searching. Its scanners swept back and forth, but the asteroid's minerals interfered with the signals. After several minutes, the swarm ship moved away. They waited an hour before powering up. "Is it gone?" asked. "Checked sensors. Yes, it's leaving the area." "We won," said. "We actually won." "No," said. "We survived, but look." He pointed at the sensor display. The swarm ship was leaving, yes, but it wasn't going back to the dead zone. It was heading toward human space. "It's going to warn the others," Sung said. "Tell them that humans are here, that we fought back." "The never did that," said. "They ran, they hid, but we fought." "And we killed 2 of their ships," added. Looked at his crew. They were battered, exhausted, and scared, but they were alive, and they had done something impossible. "We need to get to Earth," said. "Fast. The swarm knows about us now. The war is coming sooner than we thought." "In this shuttle?" Sung asked. "It will take weeks." "Then we'd better start flying," said. The small shuttle lifted off from the asteroid and turned toward human space. Behind them, the wreckage of the Defiant drifted in space, a monument to their sacrifice. They had faced the enemy that destroyed and they had survived. The question was, would humanity believe them in time? 19 days in a shuttle built for emergency evacuations. 19 days with 5 people crammed into a space meant for 3. 19 days of recycled air, protein paste, and constant fear that the swarm would find them again. But they made it. "Human patrol ship ahead," announced. Her voice was rough from exhaustion. "Military vessel, they're hailing us." "Answer them," said. A stern face appeared on their small communication screen. A military officer with gray hair and hard eyes. "This is captain of the patrol ship Guardian. Identify yourself immediately." "This is captain of the Defiant," responded. "We need emergency assistance and immediate contact with Earth Command." Captain's expression changed to confusion. "The Defiant? That ship was sent into the dead zone months ago. You were presumed lost." "We were, but we found something critical. We need to speak with Command immediately." "You can speak with me first," said coldly. "You're wanted criminals, all of you, and now you show up in an unregistered shuttle making wild claims." "We have proof," said. "Evidence of alien life, evidence of a threat to all of humanity." Laughed aliens. "Really, that's your story?" "It's the truth," said, leaning into view. "We have recordings, data, physical samples. Please, you have to listen." "What I have to do is arrest you," said. "Power down your shuttle and prepare to be boarded." The communication cut off. "They're not going to believe us," said. "Then we make them believe," replied. Military Marines boarded their shuttle 30 minutes later. They were heavily armed and not friendly. The crew was pulled out, hands bound, and marched onto the Guardian. "Search the shuttle," ordered. "Take everything." They were thrown into a detention cell. The door sealed with a heavy clang. "Back in prison," Sung said, sitting on the metal bench. "Feels like we never left." "We saved them," said angrily. "We risked our lives and they treat us like criminals." "We are criminals," reminded him. "That's why they sent us on that mission." "We're criminals," corrected. We've paid our debt, and we've done more than that." Hours passed, then days. No one came to question them. No one asked about their evidence. They were simply locked away and forgotten. On the third day, the cell door finally opened. Captain stood there with two soldiers. His face was pale. "We reviewed your data," he said quietly. "The recordings, the archives, the biological samples." He paused. "It's real, all of it. Aliens existed, and something killed them." "Not something," said, "the swarm, and they're coming." Nodded slowly. "Earth Command wants to speak with you, all of you. They're sending a fast ship to pick you up." The ship arrived the next day. It was new, fast, and military. They were treated differently now. No chains, no guards pointing guns. Instead, they had an escort that treated them with wary respect. The flight to Earth took 4 days. When they arrived, they were taken directly to military headquarters, deep underground in a secure facility. The room they were brought to was large and filled with people. Admirals, generals, scientists, politicians, everyone who made important decisions for humanity. At the head of the table sat General Yi, the head of Earth's military forces. "Captain," General Yi said, her voice was commanding, "tell us everything." So he did for 3 hours, and his crew explained everything. The dead zone, the sphere, the archives, the swarm, the battle, their escape. Scientists examined the data. Biologists studied the samples. Engineers analyzed the technology. Finally, General Yi spoke again. "This is the most significant discovery in human history," she said, "and the most terrifying. We need time to prepare, to build defenses, to create weapons." "We don't have time," said. "The swarm is coming, maybe in 7 years, maybe sooner." "Then we work with what we have," General Yi said. "Captain, you and your crew will be pardoned for your past crimes. In fact, you'll be honored as heroes." "We don't want honor," said. "We want to fight. We want to help prepare for what's coming." General Yi studied him. "You've already done more than anyone could ask." "It's not enough," said. "We know the swarm's tactics, we know the technology, we can help." Before General Yi could respond, alarms blared throughout the facility. "What's happening?" someone shouted. A junior officer ran into the room. "General, we have multiple unidentified ships entering Earth's orbit. They appeared without warning. They're not responding to hails." Everyone rushed to the command center. On the massive screens they saw ships, but not swarm ships. These were different, elegant, organic-looking but peaceful. There were dozens of them from dozens of different designs. More aliens sung breathed. One of the ships was broadcasting a signal, a message. "Play it," General Yi ordered. The screen showed an alien. It was tall and blue, with 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. It wore elaborate robes. "People of Earth," the alien said in perfect human language, "we are the Council of Surviving Species. We have been watching you for centuries." Murmurs filled the command center. "We hid ourselves from you because you seemed dangerous, violent, chaotic. We thought you were not ready for contact with the galactic community." The alien paused. "But we were wrong. Your crew, the ones you call criminals, did something no species has done in 2,000 years. They fought the swarm and survived. More than survived. They killed swarm vessels. They made the swarm retreat." Images appeared on the screen. Battle footage from the dead zone, the Defiant exploding, the swarm ships destroyed. "The swarm has been hunting us all," the alien continued. "We have been running and hiding we lost hope. We thought we would eventually be consumed like The alien's expression changed. Hope appeared in its strange eyes. "But humanity fought back. You didn't run. You didn't hide. You took an old ship, outdated weapons, and 5 criminals no one believed in, and you made the swarm flee. You showed us that victory is possible." General Yi stood, felt tears on his face. "We come to you now not as teachers but as allies," the alien said. "You have technology we don't. You have creativity, unpredictability, courage, things we lost long ago in our fear. We offer you our knowledge, our weapons, our ships. In return, we ask that you lead us, teach us how to fight again, help us take back the galaxy from the swarm. The message ended. The command center was silent. Then everyone started talking at once. General Yi raised her hand for silence. She looked at and his crew. "It seems you've started something," she said. "A war, an alliance, a future." "We just did what needed to be done," said. "That's what makes you heroes," General Yi replied. "The question is, are you ready to keep going? This won't be easy. The swarm is still out there, stronger than us, more numerous than us." Looked at his crew, nodded, Sung grinned, smiled, stood at attention. "We were sent to die," said. "Instead, we found a reason to live, a reason to fight. We're ready." Over the following weeks, everything changed. The Council species shared their technology with humanity. Faster ships, better weapons, advanced shields. In return, human engineers showed them new ways to use old technology. Human tactics, human stubbornness. Was promoted to admiral and given command of the first combined fleet. Human ships and alien vessels flying together. Became the head of navigation for the entire fleet, using star maps to plot courses through space. Sung led the technology integration program, working with alien scientists to create weapons that combine the best of all species. Directed the biological research division. Her team worked on adapting bioweapon research using human genetic diversity. It would take years, but they made progress every day. Recovered from his injuries and became a symbol. He trained human and alien Marines together, teaching them that courage mattered more than species. The preparation took 3 years, 3 years of building, training, planning. And then the swarm arrived. They came earlier than predicted, a massive force, thousands of ships. They attacked a colony on the edge of human space. The combined fleet jumped to intercept. Admiral stood on the bridge of the flagship, a massive vessel built by humans and aliens together. Around him, the fleet gathered, hundreds of ships, human and alien working as one. "All ships, this is Admiral," he said. "The swarm thinks we'll run. They think we'll hide like everyone before us. They're wrong." He looked out at the approaching enemy. They destroyed countless other civilizations, but they've never fought humanity. They've never fought beings who were called criminals and sent to die but chose to fight instead. He smiled. They've never fought people who have nothing to lose and everything to prove. Today, we show them what happens when you threaten our home. Today, we show them that the galaxy has new warriors. Today, we fight back. The fleet charged forward. Human ships and alien vessels, old tactics and new technology, desperation and hope mixed together. The battle was fierce, ships were lost, lives were sacrificed, but the combined fleet held the line. And when it was over, the swarm retreated, not destroyed but bloodied, afraid. For the first time in 2,000 years, the swarm had been pushed back. Admiral sent a message across all frequencies, to every human colony, to every council species, to everyone who had given up hope. They sent us to die forgotten. Instead, we gave humanity the stars. We gave the galaxy hope. This is just the beginning. The war will be long, it will be hard, but we will win. Because we are not just humans, we are not just council species. We are all the survivors, we are all the fighters, and we will not stop until the swarm is defeated. They wanted punishment, we gave them a mission. They wanted us to disappear, we became legends. This is humanity's first real encounter with aliens, and we're showing them how humans fight. We're showing them how humans win. On Earth, in a small memorial garden, they built a monument. It showed 5 figures standing together, their names carved below. Admiral, Admiral, Chief Engineer Sung, Director, Commander. The criminals who saved the galaxy. And beneath their names, a single sentence. They were sent to die. They chose to live. They taught us all how to fight. The war against the swarm would last for decades. There would be victories and defeats, losses and triumphs, but humanity and its alien allies never gave up, because they learned something important that day. Sometimes the outcasts become heroes. Sometimes the punishment becomes salvation. Sometimes the criminals save everyone else. And sometimes, the last hope of the galaxy is 5 people in an old ship who refuse to die quietly. The story of the Defiant became legend. Children learned about it in schools. Songs were sung about the crew who changed everything. And somewhere in space, traveling between stars, the combined fleet flew on, human and alien together, fighting for a future they would build with their own hands. The punishment mission was over. The real mission had just begun. And humanity would never stop fighting.